So early on, all through elementary school, I enjoyed building little model cars, little model airplanes, and it was my father who one day mentioned to me, he said, "Randy, you ought to be a dentist someday." And I looked at him and I said, "Gross, Dad, that is the worst thing I could ever think of, is being in people's mouths all day long." But he said that because he saw that I enjoyed doing things small and tiny with my hands. He said, "You're good with your hands." And he's the one that put the thought of being a dentist in my mind. When I graduated from dental school, I went to work for another dentist for a year and a half just to gain some experience that I didn't think dental school had taught me. So 16 years in private practice, and then November of 2010, right here at my own home, the roof, I was on the roof cleaning some leaves out of a gutter, and at the time, I describe it as an unfortunate accident where I fell and broke a wrist. Problems with the other hand as well, with some sensations, and just not able to practice like I had been accustomed to doing. Tried to, had surgeries, multiple surgeries and therapy and different things. After 2 years, I just came to the realization that I would not be able to practice the same way as what I did before. So at that point, I sold my dental practice and became a happy stay-at-home dad for a while. The first thought that came into my mind when I landed on the deck, I looked at my wrist and I knew that things weren't good, did not look good. And the first thought that crossed my mind was, will I be able to continue to go on mission trips? We're very blessed here in Cicero, Indiana, to have a church that is very mission-minded. So once a year, our church will take a mission trip to different parts of typically Central or South America. And we would either provide dental services, or a physician would go along, medical services, vacation Bible schools. So the entire family would have some hands-on part with the mission trip that we would go on. My boys might be helping with construction. My wife would be helping with me in the dental department, cooking food for the mission group. So mission trips have always been a very key part of our family. We would also take, outside of church trips, we would go on different groups, joining different groups to either Africa, India, some were evangelism trips, some were medical trips. So we would go sometimes a couple times a year, 2 or 3 times a year. There was one year where my wife and youngest son were in Mexico. My middle son was in Panama, and I was in Africa. Elder Don Livesey and Elder Gary Thurber approached me and said, "Would you be willing to, let's have a dialogue, a discussion to see what can we do in the Lake Union to have a dental, vision, medical free service that churches can provide." Then September of 2014 is when Elder Thurber called me. And again, after much prayer, discussion with Kathy to see what the next phase of our lives would be, was when we decided that January of 2015 would be the starting point of this initiative. There did not have a name, but at that point is when, we are Adventist, and what are we doing? It's community health. So Adventist Community Health Initiative has been known, for 5 years now. So for the first 2 years of Adventist Community Health, it was just dentistry only. And then after a year and a half, a couple years of doing the dental part, is where we had always wanted to provide the vision services as well. But until funding was available, we could not start acquiring the vision equipment. But through a generous donation from Adventist Health, we were able to acquire vision equipment to do eye exams, the equipment that we need to provide everything so that we can fit someone with glasses. We are wanting to reach out and impact and help somebody, touch their lives and benefit them. But what we are also finding is that the blessing that the volunteers get. Recently, we had a clinic in South Bend, Indiana, with the proximity of Indiana, South Bend with Michigan. This is the first time it's happened where we've had 3 conferences come together, where the Michigan Conference, Lake Region, and Indiana Conferences collaborated on this event, where we had 6 churches coming together to make all this happen. So again, it's a blessing to see multiple churches and different conferences coming together and serving the Lord in this capacity. So in South Bend, we were able to serve roughly 320 people through the dental department, through the vision department. We had physicians there, a pharmacist there, a dermatologist, and so roughly 320 people. $134,000 worth of services were donated and given to people. One of the things that really warmed my heart, and I see this frequently but saw it in South Bend as well, is there's a dermatologist from Lafayette, Indiana, Dr. Mark Lake, just a good Christian man and has a heart for not only missions but also a heart for caring for people. And I would glance over and I would see him before every patient. He would stop and pray with them, talk to them, I'm assuming asking what their needs are, what can I pray for you for. So just very heartwarming to see that this gives dentists, optometrists, physicians, nurses opportunities to share Jesus with people and let people know that God loves them. So I have 3 sons. One is adult age, 27. Another one is 22, and the other is 16. And our 22-year-old, December 2018, we were out of town. We got a phone call that our son had died in a car accident. So we came back home. It was a challenging Christmas, and Christmases since then have been sad as well for that reason. But again, we have the hope of knowing that we'll see him again. And that's what keeps us going. We could just close up and sit at home and do nothing and just dwell on the fact that our middle son is gone. But it gives me wind under my wings to know that I'm going to continue on until the Lord comes. And even something like this, as tragic as it is, Satan may be throwing that in my path to say, hey, give up, don't keep going. But I'm saying no. As I reflect on my Adventist journey, looking back, God does not promise that it's going to be an easy path or an enjoyable path. Sometimes that there are struggles and trials and hardships. But looking back, each one of those has strengthened my faith, strengthened my resolve to trust in Him more and more every day.